Hi ladies. Have you ever noticed that some women seem to magnetically attract gifts from men, without even asking? It's not just about looks or luck. So, what's their secret? Let's break down the 10 types of women who consistently receive gifts from men, not because they demand them, but because they inspire them. And no, it's not about manipulation. It's about presence, mindset, and energy. Let's go. The woman who values herself. She walks into the room like she owns it, not because she's arrogant, but because she's aligned with her worth. You won't see her overextending, over-explaining, or overgiving to prove she's worthy of love or attention. She doesn't audition for affection. She knows that her time, her energy, and her presence are precious, and she treats them accordingly. She doesn't settle for crumbs, because she knows she deserves the whole cake. When she's in a relationship, she brings her full self, not just to impress, but to contribute. She sets healthy boundaries, not to push people away, but to protect her peace. She says no when it feels wrong, without guilt. She says yes when it aligns with her truth, not when it's convenient for others. And men, they feel this. They know they're dealing with a woman who won't tolerate being treated like an afterthought. And that energy, grounded, calm, clear, makes a man want to show up better. He offers more. He invests more, not because she demanded it, but because she created an environment where only respectful giving makes sense. She's not impressed by flashy gestures, but she does appreciate thoughtfulness. She rewards sincerity. She doesn't play games, and she doesn't chase unavailable people. And in that steadiness, she draws in partners who want to give, not just materially, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. She buys herself flowers if she wants them. She takes herself to dinner. She wears perfume to feel good, not to attract anyone else. She is already enough, and everything else is an addition, not a validation. She lives by a simple but powerful truth. When I know my value, I no longer entertain what doesn't see it. And that's why men give her gifts. Not to win her over, but to be part of her world. She doesn't manipulate or play coy. She simply embodies high value in how she walks, talks, and lives. And in doing so, she silently says, if you want access to this energy, show up with respect, intention, and yes, offerings that match the frequency I live in. A woman who values herself sets the tone. And men, when they're emotionally mature, respond by rising. Not because they have to, but because they want to. She doesn't seek validation. She is the validation. And that's why her presence invites generosity. She gives off the energy. If you're going to be here, bring something meaningful to the table. And men, instinctively, do. Because a woman who values herself is never waiting to be chosen, she's too busy choosing herself every single day. The grateful one. Her superpower isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's soft, sincere, and deeply magnetic. It's gratitude. She makes people feel appreciated, not just for what they give, but for who they are. When a man brings her coffee, she doesn't just say, thanks. She smiles with her eyes. She makes him feel seen. She adds warmth to his gesture, which makes him feel like he just gave her a diamond. And the thing is, she's not faking it. She really does appreciate the little things. She knows how rare effort can be in today's world. So when she receives any form of kindness or generosity, she treats it like a moment worth celebrating. Whether it's a small favor or an expensive gift, her energy says, I see what you did, and it matters to me. That kind of energy, it's irresistible. It makes people want to do more for her, because she's not the type to act like it's owed to her. There's no entitlement, no cold silence, no, that's it, attitude. She doesn't measure value by price tags. She measures it by intention. If a man brings her her favorite snack because he remembered she mentioned it 2 weeks ago, that touches her heart more than diamonds ever could. And this is important. Her gratitude doesn't make her a doormat. She doesn't stay grateful for breadcrumbs. She simply celebrates sincerity. She knows the difference between genuine giving and manipulative crumbs. Her warmth is healing. Her words are nurturing, and the men around her feel it. When she's thankful, it's not just verbal, it's energetic. She gives back emotionally, even if not materially. She creates a safe space for generosity. Because let's be honest, men want to give, but they also want to feel good doing it. And with her, they do. She makes a man feel like a king when he brings her a cup of water, not because she's desperate, but because she knows gratitude is power. It multiplies effort, it builds connection. She isn't fake nice, she isn't over the top. She's just present, and when she says, "Thank you," it lands. It resonates. Over time, men begin to seek that reaction. They look for ways to surprise her, impress her, nurture her, because her energy tells them, your efforts are never wasted here. Even when things don't work out, she parts with grace. Because her gratitude isn't conditional, it's part of who she is. That emotional intelligence, that calm kindness, it's rare. And rare women always receive more, not because they ask, but because their presence feels good to give to. She doesn't need to post about every gift online. She doesn't weaponize generosity. She simply receives with grace, and in doing so, she inspires more of it. In the end, she becomes unforgettable. Not for how loudly she demanded, but for how deeply she appreciated. The feminine energy queen. She doesn't rush. She doesn't hustle for love. Her power lives in her presence, not in how much she does, but in how much she allows. She's the calm in the storm, the softness in a hardened world. Her strength? It's not loud, it's magnetic. It's in how she leans back and lets life come to her. She embodies a kind of grace that doesn't beg for attention. She receives attention effortlessly. She doesn't chase, it comes to her, because her energy invites it. Not in a manipulative way, but in a deeply natural, almost primal way. Her feminine energy is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's in her ability to listen without interrupting, to speak with purpose, to move with ease. She understands that being feminine doesn't mean being passive, it means being powerful in a different frequency. She doesn't argue to win. She doesn't try to prove she's right. Instead, she communicates with softness, and in doing so, she draws people in. Men, especially, feel safe around her. Not in a mothering way, but in a way that makes them feel respected and welcomed. When a man gives to her, a compliment, a gift, time, she doesn't brush it off. She doesn't downplay it, she receives it fully. Her "thank you" is sincere, and her eyes reflect appreciation. She's not trying to prove she doesn't need anyone. She knows her value, and part of that is knowing that receiving doesn't make her weak, it makes her complete. She isn't in competition with men. She doesn't try to out-earn, out-talk, or outpower them. She allows polarity to exist. She gives from her heart, and receives with open hands. This balance creates chemistry, real chemistry. Men feel compelled to offer more around her. More attention, more gifts, more consistency. Why? Because she doesn't demand, it just feels good to give to her. Her energy is a reward in itself. She invests in her appearance, not to impress others, but to honor her femininity. She wears what makes her feel soft, sensual, and confident. Her beauty isn't about trends, it's about radiance. And radiance draws in generosity. She's emotionally in tune. She knows when to speak and when to be silent. She's not all logic, she's intuition, rhythm, and flow. That emotional intelligence creates a space where giving is natural, not transactional. She doesn't act desperate when things don't go her way. She knows how to release and let go without drama. That peace makes her a rare find, and rare things are treasured. She's in love with life, and it shows. Whether she's dancing in the kitchen or sipping tea in silence, her joy is contagious. Men want to be part of that light, and they often express that through giving, because it's how they contribute to her happiness. Her femininity is healing. It calms anxiety, invites softness, and balances masculine energy. It's a relief in a world that often asks women to be hard to survive. She doesn't need to overperform. Her energy speaks louder than words. And men around her step into their masculine naturally, because her softness calls it forward. She understands that receiving is also a form of giving. When she lets someone care for her, she's allowing them to express love. That permission, that openness, it builds deeper connections. She never begs for love. She never bargains for affection. She simply becomes the woman who naturally attracts both. And gifts? They show up, not because she asks, but because it feels right to give to her. She meditates, she rests, she nurtures herself, because she knows that her feminine energy is replenished when she honors her body and spirit. And when she's full, everything in her life, including love, flows with ease. She values connection over control. She builds intimacy, not intensity. And that gentle approach, it stays in a man's mind long after she's gone. She inspires through her energy, not through effort. That's the secret. She lets love find her. And it always does. The high standard setter. She doesn't ask for too much, she just refuses to accept too little. Her standards are not threats, they're filters. And if a man can't meet them, she doesn't chase. She simply moves on, because she knows, the right one will. She's not impressed by a good morning text once a week. She's not melting over low-effort compliments. She doesn't get excited over promises, only follow through. Because her standards aren't about appearances, they're about patterns. She doesn't explain what should be obvious. If he's inconsistent, absent, or vague, she's already gone. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. She doesn't entertain confusion when clarity is an option. This woman doesn't settle for convenience. She values commitment. She doesn't want someone who checks in when it's easy. She wants someone who shows up when it matters. When she's dating, she's observing. She's not just asking, "Do I like him?" She's asking, "Is he showing up for me?" She watches the effort, the energy, the actions. And if they don't match her standards, she's out, with no drama and no second guessing. She doesn't accept the bare minimum, because she knows what the maximum looks like, and she's willing to wait for it. She would rather be single than in a relationship where she's constantly undervalued. Her standards aren't just about money or gifts, they're about emotional availability, consistency, and presence. She expects generosity of spirit. She expects kindness, leadership, and maturity. And yes, men give her gifts. Not because she begs for them, but because they understand, this is the type of woman who expects more. Not in a materialistic way, but in a meaningful way. Men who don't want to grow won't stay. And that's exactly how she likes it. Her standards act like a spotlight. They expose who's really willing to invest. She doesn't reward excuses. She rewards action. If a man says he wants her, she'll believe it when he shows it. Words don't sway her, behavior does. She invests in herself first. She reads, heals, evolves. She becomes the kind of woman she would want to date. And in doing so, she naturally raises the bar for those around her. She's not afraid to ask for what she needs. Not because she's demanding, but because she's clear. That clarity filters out the wishy-washy energy and invites serious, intentional men. And when she is gifted, when a man brings her something thoughtful, whether it's a flower or a flight, it means more. Because it didn't come from guilt or pressure. It came from respect. She leads with elegance, not entitlement. She has nothing to prove, but everything to protect: her peace, her time, her heart. And only those who honor that are allowed access. She has standards in every area: how she's spoken to, how she's treated, how she's prioritized. She's not harsh, but she is unshakable. She doesn't just talk about her standards, she lives by them. She walks away when they're not met. That follow-through makes her rare. And rare women are always deeply appreciated. Men who are ready love women like this. Because they know, when she finally says yes, it means something. She creates a life so rich and fulfilling that anyone who enters it knows, you bring value, or you bring nothing. And because of that, value flows to her, again and again. She is not looking for a man to complete her, she's looking for someone to complement her. And only high-effort men apply. The mystery woman. She doesn't spill her life story on the first date. She doesn't share every thought, every detail, every emotion with the world. And because of that, she captivates. She's not cold, she's just selective. Every word she chooses to reveal feels intentional, like a clue in a beautifully unfolding plot. Men feel it right away. This isn't someone they can figure out in one sitting. She doesn't hand them the entire map. She gives them a glimpse, a hint, a spark. And it's that mystery that lights their curiosity on fire. She knows that revelation is more powerful when it's paced. She's not playing games, she's preserving depth. Her mystery isn't a mask, it's a reflection of the layered, nuanced person she is. When she speaks, she leaves room for interpretation. She answers with grace, with humor, sometimes with silence. Not because she's avoiding connection, but because she knows that true connection is earned over time. Men don't just want to date her. They want to discover her. They want to know what makes her laugh, what makes her vulnerable, what makes her light up. Every moment with her feels like turning a new page in a fascinating novel, and they don't want to skip ahead. This intrigue inspires effort. Men bring her gifts not just to impress her, but to open another door. A rose to see her smile. A book because she once mentioned a favorite author. A trip because he wants to see what she's like under a different sky. She doesn't seek attention, but she attracts it. In a room full of people oversharing, she's the one who observes. She's the one whose silence speaks louder than noise. And when she does open up, when she finally shares a personal story, or reveals something vulnerable, it lands like gold. Because it's rare, because it's real, because it means they've earned a deeper part of her. Her energy is subtle but strong. She doesn't beg to be seen, and yet she's unforgettable. She lingers in a man's mind long after the conversation ends. She isn't mysterious just to be admired, she's mysterious because she lives fully. She has a rich inner world. She reads, reflects, listens to music no one else knows about, writes in journals she never posts. She nurtures a soul that's constantly evolving. And gifts, they become part of the journey. A way for a man to say, I want to be part of this story you're writing. She doesn't fake mystery, she is mystery, because she honors her privacy, her pace, her process. And in a world addicted to instant access, that makes her magnetic. Men give to her not because she asks, but because each gift feels like a key, maybe to her next smile, maybe to her next layer. They give because being with her feels like poetry in motion. She's never performative, she doesn't over-explain, she lets her energy speak. She lets silence stretch comfortably. And men lean in, wanting more. She doesn't rush intimacy, she lets it simmer. She understands that chemistry built on mystery is stronger, more sustainable, and far more sensual. A man might leave a date with her knowing less than he hoped, but he'll leave with curiosity. And that's what brings him back, arms full of flowers, questions, and offerings. She is not a puzzle to be solved, she's an experience to be felt. And that's what makes men give, not just gifts, but attention, admiration, and lasting interest. The cheerleader. She's not just in his corner, she is the reason he feels like he can win. Her belief in him is quiet, steady, and unshakable. And that belief becomes fuel. Men, by nature, want to provide, want to achieve, want to impress. And when they have a woman who genuinely celebrates their progress, it changes everything. She's the one who says, I know you can do this, when he doubts himself. She's the one who texts before his big presentation, you've got this, I believe in you. It seems small, but to a man, it's everything. Her encouragement isn't fake positivity, it's rooted in real attention. She listens to his dreams, understands his goals, and remembers the little things. She knows when to push, when to praise, and when to just let him vent. She doesn't belittle his failures. She doesn't use his insecurities against him. Instead, she uplifts, she supports, she reminds him of who he is when he forgets. And that kind of emotional nourishment, it doesn't go unnoticed. A man who feels supported at home wants to give more. He wants to reward her, surprise her, celebrate her, because in her presence, he feels like more of a man. That's why he brings her gifts. Not just because it's her birthday or a holiday, but because he wants to see her light up the way she lights him up. He buys her something she casually mentioned weeks ago. He plans a weekend away because she's been working hard. He finds ways to say, thank you, without words, because she's always cheering him on without conditions. Her support isn't transactional, it's emotional wealth. She gives love without scoreboard keeping. She pours belief into his spirit, and that belief becomes momentum. She doesn't compete with his goals, she contributes to them. She doesn't get jealous of his ambition, she celebrates it. And even when he's distracted or discouraged, she doesn't nag. She nudges. She gently brings him back to center with a laugh, a touch, a reminder that he's not alone. Men are used to being pressured to perform. But with her, performance turns into passion. He wants to be his best not for approval, but because he's inspired. And that inspiration flows in both directions. When she supports him, he rises. And as he rises, he lifts her, too. With love, with loyalty, and yes, with gifts that say, "You helped me get here." She's not a doormat, she has her own dreams. But she understands partnership. She knows that when one person shines, the relationship shines. That energy, uplifting, positive, and affirming, is what keeps him coming back with more. More effort, more surprises, more generosity. She doesn't need grand gestures to feel loved, but he gives them anyway, because she makes love feel safe. She's his anchor in his wind. And a man who's truly supported by a cheerleader-type woman never forgets her. He honors her, through words, through presence, and yes, through gifts. Because in a world full of critics, she chose to be his biggest fan. And he'll spend a lifetime making sure she knows how much that matters. The woman who makes life more fun. She doesn't need a 5-star restaurant or a fancy vacation to have a good time, she brings the vibe with her. She's the kind of woman who makes spontaneous road trips feel like epic adventures, turns cooking dinner into a dance party, and finds something to laugh about even when the pizza delivery is late. Her joy is infectious, and it turns even the most ordinary day into something memorable. She doesn't take herself too seriously, and that's exactly why people feel good around her. She can be goofy one minute and charming the next, always keeping things light, lively, and full of energy. She reminds men that life isn't just about goals and pressure, it's about moments. Her laugh is the kind that stays in your head. Her spontaneity is the kind that makes men smile just thinking about her. She's the spark that reignites fun in people who forgot they needed it. And because of that, men want to do things for her, not because she expects it, but because giving to her feels like joining the party. When she's around, boredom doesn't stand a chance. She'll suggest silly games, make a casual walk feel like a mini adventure, or show up with ideas that no one else thinks of, like stargazing on a Tuesday night or watching bad movies just to laugh at them together. She doesn't drain energy, she charges it. She's the sunshine in someone's cloudy day, the girl who turns errands into escapades. Her presence feels like a breath of fresh air in a world that can feel heavy and routine. Men love giving to her because she gives in her own way. She gives happiness, spontaneity, and a reminder of what it feels like to actually enjoy the moment. If she receives a gift, she doesn't just say thank you, she reacts like it's Christmas morning. Her joy makes the giver feel 10 times more appreciated. It's not about the gift itself, it's about the experience, the memory, the feeling. She makes life feel like something out of a romantic comedy, not in a cheesy way, but in the way where laughter and love go hand in hand. And the men who date her want to contribute to that story with tokens, surprises, and thoughtful gestures. She doesn't beg for attention. She earns it by being the woman who brings light, the woman whose energy uplifts everyone in the room. She's not afraid to be silly, and she doesn't hide behind a wall of coolness. Her authenticity is refreshing. She'll sing badly on purpose, make jokes about herself, or suggest a game of mini golf just to break routine. And this ease she brings? It melts defenses. Men open up around her, relax around her, smile more around her. They stop trying so hard and start feeling more. That emotional impact turns into action. They want to take her places, surprise her with gifts, bring her little things that'll make her laugh or light up, because they know she'll appreciate them in the most animated, joyful way. She doesn't use fun to avoid depth, she uses it to create connection. Because joy, shared laughter, and shared silliness form memories that last longer than serious talks ever could. She's the woman who gets invited to everything, remembered after one date, and talked about long after she leaves the room. Why? Because she makes people feel alive. And when a man finds a woman who makes life feel that light, that spontaneous, that joyful, giving becomes second nature. Not out of obligation, but because it feels like giving to someone who already gave so much through just being herself. The confident communicator. She doesn't beat around the bush. She doesn't drop cryptic hints and hope someone reads her mind. She speaks clearly, but kindly. She owns her desires without shame, and that honesty? It's magnetic. She might say something as simple as, "I've been wanting to try that new Italian place," or, "I love it when a guy surprises me with something small." And just like that, she plants the seed. No pressure, no guilt, just truth. Men don't feel manipulated by her, they feel guided. She gives them a roadmap to her happiness, and they're grateful for it. Because the truth is, most men want to give, they just don't want to feel like they're failing all the time because they're guessing. With her, there's no second guessing. No awkward tension. No, "I shouldn't have to ask" attitude. Instead, she expresses herself with grace, confidence, and clarity. And that confidence is a turn-on. She knows how to make a request sound like an invitation, not a demand. She might say, "I'd love flowers sometime," just because, with a smile. Not to test someone, but to let them in on what makes her feel loved. She's not afraid to talk about what matters to her. Whether it's quality time, physical touch, or thoughtful surprises, she communicates her love language, and invites her partner to meet her there. This woman doesn't expect mind reading. She expects communication, and by modeling it herself, she raises the emotional maturity of every relationship she's in. Men feel empowered around her, not confused. They know what she likes, what makes her happy, and what her boundaries are. That security makes it easier to give to her, not harder. She expresses disappointment calmly, too. If something's off, she addresses it without drama. "I felt a little overlooked on my birthday, and I just want to share that with you." That kind of emotional honesty? It deepens trust. She isn't passive-aggressive. She doesn't sulk or go silent. She speaks, and in doing so, she creates space for her needs to be met. And when she receives a gift, big or small, she responds with joy. Not because she's surprised, but because she knows she asked for what she wanted, and now it's showing up. That joy reinforces the cycle of giving. She celebrates effort, she praises progress, and that kind of affirmation? It makes men want to do more, try harder, give bigger. She doesn't use communication as a weapon. She uses it as a bridge, and every clear sentence she speaks builds a stronger connection. She knows what she wants, but she's also receptive. She listens, she responds, she gives feedback with warmth. That makes her feel like a partner, not a critic. In a world full of miscommunication and assumptions, her honesty is rare and refreshing. Men who give to her do so willingly, because she's created a space where giving is met with appreciation, not expectation. She's the woman who makes asking for what she wants look elegant. And that elegance gets rewarded, with attention, affection, and yes, thoughtful gifts that say, "I heard you." She never begs, she simply expresses, and in that expression, she inspires action. Because a woman who knows how to speak her truth without shame is a woman who attracts everything she asks for. The emotionally intelligent one. She doesn't just hear words, she listens between the lines. She picks up on tone, body language, silence. She notices when he's quieter than usual, when something's off, or when the sparkle's missing from his eyes. She doesn't pry, but she gently opens the door. "Rough day?" She might ask, not to invade, but to invite. She isn't reactive, she's responsive. If he pulls back, she doesn't immediately jump to conclusions or go into panic mode. She pauses, observes, asks herself, "Is this about me, or is he just human today?" That pause, it changes everything. Men feel seen around her in a way that feels rare. Not judged, not fixed, just seen. She creates a calm emotional space, a space where masks can drop, where pretending isn't necessary. And that safety, it's priceless. She doesn't take everything personally. If he needs space, she honors it. If he's stressed, she doesn't compete with it, she supports from the sidelines. She gives him room to process, to think, to be imperfect. She can sense when to push and when to hold back, when to lighten the mood, and when to sit quietly and just be there. Her emotional cues are subtle but powerful. She communicates without creating pressure. "I'm here if you want to talk" is one of her favorite tools, not because she's avoiding emotion, but because she respects it. And when he does open up, she listens with her whole self. No interrupting, no solving, no minimizing. Just presence. That alone is enough to melt walls that have been up for years. She doesn't throw his vulnerabilities back at him during arguments. She holds them like sacred trust. That level of care makes him want to give back, not just emotionally, but in tangible ways. Gifts, gestures, effort, they become expressions of the emotional safety she provides. She praises emotional growth. If he's learning to express himself better, she notices. If he takes accountability, she appreciates it. Her emotional intelligence teaches him how to grow emotionally, too. She doesn't need drama to feel alive. She finds depth in quiet conversations, shared understanding, and emotional intimacy that can't be faked. Her intuition is sharp. She knows when something's wrong before he says it. And even when he tries to hide it, she sees the truth, and gives him space to catch up to it. She doesn't rush emotional timelines. She knows that trust takes time, and she's patient enough to let it build organically. That patience makes men open their hearts wider than they ever have before. She doesn't shame him for feeling. She encourages it. She makes emotions masculine, not weak. And that shift is what inspires deeper levels of giving. She celebrates his wins and soothes his wounds. She doesn't compete with his emotions, she joins him in them. She brings balance. He brings her gifts not to impress her, but because she already impresses him. Her depth, her insight, her calm, it makes her feel like a home, not just a person. She knows how to say the right thing at the right time. Not with rehearsed words, but with genuine care. Her conversations aren't just heard, they're remembered. She doesn't demand emotional availability. She models it, and by doing so, she creates a new emotional standard in his life. Men who feel safe give more. Not just money or things, but their full selves. And she unlocks that level of giving without ever asking. She's the woman who understands him better than he understands himself sometimes. And that understanding, that's what makes her unforgettable, and completely deserving of everything he has to offer. The woman who lives her best life, with or without him. She's not waiting by the phone. She's out there living. She's building her dreams, planning her trips, reading new books, mastering her craft. She doesn't make her life smaller in hopes that someone will fill the gaps, she fills them herself. Her independence isn't cold, it's electric. It's the kind that says, I'd love to share my life with you, but I don't need you to survive. That energy, it's magnetic. Men aren't drawn to desperation, they're drawn to women who already feel whole. She travels solo and with friends. She posts pictures with no hidden agendas. She takes herself on dates, invests in her wellness, sets big goals, and actually follows through on them. She's in motion, and that movement creates gravity. Men want to be part of her journey, not just spectators. They see that she's already in the flow of life, and they want to add to it. Gifts become a way of saying, let me in. Let me contribute to this amazing life you've created. She doesn't ask, why doesn't anyone choose me? Because she's too busy choosing herself. She fills her calendar with things that light her up, people who inspire her, and experiences that stretch her growth. She doesn't make herself smaller to be more palatable. She shines, and lets the right people adjust their sunglasses. She's not impressed by breadcrumbs, because she's been feeding her own soul the entire time. Her standards stay high, not because she's hard to please, but because she's used to a certain quality of life, one she created herself. When a man gives her a gift, it's not to win her, it's to match her. To meet her at her level. To say, I see you. I respect what you've built. Let me add something beautiful to it. She doesn't lose herself in relationships. She maintains her identity. Her hobbies don't vanish when someone enters her life. She continues becoming, even when she's in love. And ironically, that's what keeps men invested. Because they know she's not clinging, she's choosing. Every day, she chooses to show up. That freedom makes her love even more valuable. She doesn't hold back her opinions, her fire, her quirks. She's unapologetically herself, and she invites others to do the same. When she receives a gift, she accepts it with grace, but she never treats it like the centerpiece of her worth. She values the thought, but she values herself more. She inspires without trying. Her lifestyle becomes an example. She proves that a woman can be happy, fulfilled, and whole, while still making space for love. She doesn't guilt-trip anyone into staying. If they leave, she wishes them well. Because her life doesn't pause for heartbreak, it keeps expanding. Men see her thriving, and it stirs something in them, the desire to give, to contribute, to belong in her world. She's not intimidated by solitude. She welcomes it, and that peace she has with herself makes her a magnet for healthy relationships. When a man steps into her life, he knows, this isn't someone who needs saving. This is someone who's already flying, and he wants to bring her wings, not weights. She's a force, not because she's loud, but because she's whole. And whole women inspire generosity, not through manipulation, but through magnetism. She's not waiting to be chosen. She's out there choosing herself. And the right man? He doesn't try to dim her light. He brings candles and adds to the glow. So ladies, here's the truth. Men don't give gifts to women who demand them. They give to women who inspire them, who create space for giving, not with pressure, but with presence. This is the golden truth no one really talks about. Men don't respond to ultimatums. They don't respond to guilt trips, sulking, or passive-aggressive comments masked as jokes. What they do respond to is energy, the kind of energy that uplifts, intrigues, calms, or excites them. When a woman becomes a source of peace, joy, fun, clarity, or emotional safety, a man's instinct is to give. Not because he's being trained like a dog, but because the experience of being with her feels so good, he wants to honor it. He wants to contribute to it. And no, this isn't about playing a role to get gifts. This is about embodying a truth that says, I am worthy of being poured into because I am already full. The women who inspire giving are not waiting with their hands out, they're busy being magnetic. They radiate self-worth. They don't demand, they receive. And that difference in energy is everything. You can't fake this. You can't pretend to be feminine or confident or joyful just to get something. The women who truly live in this space embody it. And when they do, they don't need to ask, gifts show up naturally. It's not about seducing him with expectations, it's about drawing him in with authenticity. And when he feels good around you, when he sees that his effort is appreciated, when he experiences your joy, mystery, softness, or strength, he gives. Not to buy your love. Not to impress you out of insecurity, but to celebrate the way you make him feel. That's the difference. That's what real, inspired giving looks like. If you saw yourself in any of these 10 types, or want to start becoming one, remember, receiving is just as powerful as giving. So many women struggle with this. They give endlessly, love selflessly, pour out until they're empty, and still wonder why no one gives back. Here's the secret. You're allowed to receive. Not only allowed, you must receive if you want balance. Receiving isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It tells the universe, I am open. I am worthy. I allow goodness to flow into my life. And that energy, it transforms everything. Let go of the belief that you have to earn love through overextending yourself. Stop trying to prove your worth through doing more, giving more, sacrificing more. You already are worthy. Now let the world rise to meet you. And yes, that includes gifts. Whether it's a rose, a weekend trip, or simply a thoughtful letter, let it in. Let yourself feel the joy of being thought of. Let yourself shine brighter knowing you're appreciated. Because when you receive with grace, you don't just take, you elevate the giver. You make him feel powerful, generous, capable. That's not manipulation. That's feminine magic. So don't apologize for wanting more. Don't dim your desires. Don't downplay your joy. You are allowed to live in abundance, not just emotionally, but physically, spiritually, and yes, materially too. You don't have to hustle for love. You don't have to force anything. You just have to become the kind of woman who lives so fully, so authentically, and so beautifully that others want to give to you. That's your power, and it's time you own it. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos for more real talk insights on love, confidence, and leveling up your feminine power. Plus, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok, links are in the description. We've got so much more waiting for you. conversations about emotional intelligence, modern dating, high-value femininity, and real empowerment. No fluff, no fairy tales, just the truth, beautifully told. Join the community. Share this with your bestie. Rewatch it whenever you forget your power. Because sometimes we all need that reminder. Keep shining, ladies. Your energy is the real gift. Your joy, your confidence, your softness, your strength, your dreams, your self-worth. That's what people remember. That's what changes the room when you walk in. Don't shrink, don't settle, don't wait. Live boldly, love openly, and receive generously. The world, and the right man, will always find a way to give back to the woman who already gives so much just by being who she is. You don't have to chase anything. You are the thing, and that's why you'll always attract everything you deserve.